Hi everyone, I'm Bob G, the History Doctor, and we'll try today to offer some real-time, real-world insights into what report cards are, what they aren't, what they do, and what they don't do. Please try to remember that a grade on a report card is not a teacher judging the worth of a kid's whole existence. It's rather a snapshot, a moment in time that sets a blueprint as a roadmap for improvement. Secondly, if your youngster gets a D on her report card in 6th grade English, that doesn't mean that Princeton is out of the question. It simply means that this youngster at this moment in time has some weaknesses that have to be worked on. A third reminder is, I hope that grades and report cards are never used in a punitive way. I can't tell you how many times a student came to me over the years and said, you know, Mr. G, Mom says I have to get a B in your class or I can't go on the ski trip. We're hoping that grades aren't made for behavioral controls, but again, simply to provide some incentives for kids to improve. Some parents like to provide little financial incentives for their kids to get better grades. This is sort of a personal preference for the parents, but just remember that youngsters are radically present-oriented, so that if you want to offer some incentives, it's best to have them on a short-term basis rather than say, there's a car for you in June if you get all A's and B's. On the teacher side of the equation, we want grades that are valid and reliable. Please remember that the comments you may put on the report card are also fraught with emotion. If you have to say something negative about a youngster in your class, consider sandwiching one negative comment in between two positives in order to put it in some context and maybe soften the blow a little bit so that people will listen a little bit better. Remember also that kids compare comments on their report cards. And if you say on Susie's report cards, needs to participate in class, it's possible that Susie's mom's going to call you and say, what do you mean needs to participate in class? Susie does a lot more in your class than Jimmy. Talk to your colleagues. If Jimmy has all A's in all of his classes and a D in yours, many parents on their side of the aisle will see that as automatically something wrong, that you didn't do your job. It is also very important for teachers that if you must fail a youngster in your class who will not get credit for that 10 weeks, that you have followed all institutional procedures for doing so. No failing grade should ever come out of left field for a parent. There must be documented communication leading up to that very serious outcome. Also for teachers, for extra credit, this is also a complex thing. I urge you to take a look, revisit my posting called Answering Kevin C. It depends on your institution, the rules, how old the youngsters are. Regardless of grades on report cards, good or bad, always follow up with a conference. Please consider revisiting my posting on parent-teacher conferences to keep that blueprint and that dialogue going. When I taught middle school, I offered every single student one bonus point on their report card so no one would ever miss honor roll by 1 point in social studies. So now, after the bonus point, if the youngster misses by 1, they didn't really miss by 1, they missed by 2. Every kid gets a voice in the class. Every kid gets a straight deal from the teacher. Report cards aren't to punish, but to suggest areas of improvement and bring out true curiosity for learning. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm Bob G, the History Doctor.